Guys, the wait is finally over. It's here, the new 2024 next generation Ford Ranger. Yes, it may look familiar because it's been on sale around the world, but this is new American Ford Ranger. In this video, I'm gonna go hands-on for the first time here in Michigan, and you might be surprised what it has and also what it does not have. So let's start with a wider view of this truck. Let's take a look at its styling. So here's what Ford says. Of course, it has nothing in common here in the front with the current Ranger. Large headlamps, really wide grille, and the lower section of the bumper is integrated into the grille. And this looks a lot like the worldwide Ranger that's available in other countries like Australia, Thailand, and other countries. Ford says it's on sale in about 180 countries in the world. But when it was conceived, according to Ford, they held the requirements of the North American or US customers very, very kind of high on their list. So that's why it's very similar in style. What I'm showing you here is one of the more affordable trucks they have here, because I know I see your comments all the time. You guys say, please don't review very, very expensive trucks. So I picked this one. It's an XL STX. Of course, this new Ranger will be available in 3 trim levels: XL, XLT, and Lariat. There's also, of course, the Ford Raptor, but that's a whole different story. I'm gonna dedicate an entire video to the Ranger Raptor. But in the regular Ranger for the US, XL, XLT, and Lariat. This is a STX package on top of the XL. So it dresses up the truck a little bit. It's in this nice blue color that I love. And yeah, so this is a 4-wheel drive truck. I'll show you the interior soon. And they're gonna be selling it in crew cab, super crew they call it, short bed only in the US. At least that's how it launches here in 2023 calendar year. And the cab here, the cab area size hasn't really changed. So if you like the current Ranger, you will love the new one as well. And that's the whole point of this truck. Ford, I think, didn't want to make it too big, so it almost becomes an F-150, right? The F-150 is still there, and of course the bigger trucks like the Super Duty are still there. This is still a little bit more compact dimensions, but it's larger than the Maverick that's below it. Big thanks to our friends at 5 Star Tuning for sponsoring this video. Check out their website using the link in the description below. Chris and team have decades of experience custom tuning Ford trucks and actually all vehicles. Especially they have a lot of experience with the 2.3 liter turbocharged engine as well as all engines. So check them out for customization and tuning. So let's talk about power choices, because you may not have expected this. Currently they have one engine, but in this new generation, they're going to offer 3 different power plants. So let me pop the hood and show you. Just on this side by the driver's left foot. They're keeping the current 2.3 liter turbocharged engine. It's a straight 4, and it still has the same rating, 270 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque, and this is what you can see underneath the hood of this guy. If you see this extra wiring, it's because some of these trucks are wired to run the accessories, while these trucks sit here in the field in this beautiful camp for a couple days. So they kept that. They kept the 10-speed automatic, and the 10-speed automatic is the only transmission they're offering. So if you are hoping for a manual transmission in the new Ranger, you're not going to get it in the US. So if you do still want it, start writing your messages to Ford. Don't write them to me. I don't have a lot of control there, or any control. But if you do like it, write it in the comments below in this video, write it on our website, tfltruck.com, or just send Ford a message and say, hey, bring the manual here. Because this truck is built in Michigan at the Wayne facility, in the same facility as the new Ford Bronco, which also has a manual. So if you do want the manual transmission, it might still be possible if enough of you ask for it. So that's the engine to start. They're also going to offer a 2.7 liter V6 twin turbo from the F-150 in this little truck. But basically, it's 315 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque in a mid-size truck. So that's already, when you compare it to the brand new Chevy Colorado that just came out, that's 5 horsepower more and almost 10 pound-feet of torque more. So you could see there's a war going on here. I told you this was going to be the year of the mid-size truck, and now we're getting this message right here loud and clear. So let me remove some of these accessories and bags. So this truck does not have a bed liner. Of course, you can get a bed liner on it. And because the wheelbase grew by almost 2 inches, and the width grew by about 2.2 inches, the track width of this new Ranger compared to the outgoing one. This truck is a little bit heavier. Also, it has different powertrains. Once again, a little bit heavier with the V6. Maximum payload came down to 1,805 pounds. It was about 55 pounds more on the outgoing Ranger. But still, for a two-wheel drive midsizer, 1,800 pounds is a heck of a lot of payload. Of course, the payload number will decrease if you add more options, if you get, leather seats and all kinds of equipment. But this new bed is the same length. It's a 5-footer. A couple of unique features. So first of all, damper on the tailgate. The tailgate wire is now kind of tied in. It's no longer a quick release. And they widened the wheel wells. So now you can lay down true, according to Ford, 48-inch wide sheet of material, 4 feet wide. So let me show you, hold on. So this space, from here to the other wheel well, they expanded that area. So this is truly, you can lay down a piece of material with a tailgate down and carry that a little bit more easily. There are 6 tie downs, 3 on each side. And if you see this opening, on other models you can get bed lights. There's one on driver's side and there's one on passenger side. Then, this is pretty sweet. The Ranger, of course, takes from the F-150 some ideas. You have some clamps that you can clamp, piece of wood you're working on or something. There's a ruler. This is up to 50 inches. There's a bottle opener here. There's a little hook on the other side. So nice little, of course, kind of cup holders and places to put your, little screws or something you're working on when you're working on your projects. So this is really supposed to be kind of an outdoor recreation/work pickup. This is the new tail lamp. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the overall style, design. As you can see, this one doesn't have any side step here in the bed, but you can get it as an option on some trims. But this truck is not that tall. Here in the basic trim, XL, STX, I can easily reach this section of the bed just standing on the ground. Now let's jump inside and let's take a look at the new interior. Finally, I get to sit inside the new Ranger. So first of all, this is a cloth seat, but I like that Ford is doing several different tones of material and nice contrast stitching. There's also a little bit of color. There's a little bit of silver trim piece here in the front. There's a nice shelf here on the passenger side, glove box below, and some other models actually get a glove box above. I'm not sure why this section is closed here in the more basic truck. It has a key. Very familiar. If you've been a Ford person, you will recognize this key. Switchblade. I'm not going to start it and drive away, although I really want to drive it away. Let me turn this down. I do want to show you some of the accessories and some of the options. Let's let it stop chiming. Yes, good. So, digital screens. This is where the world is going. By the way, I mentioned 3 powertrains. Stay tuned because the third powertrain is the Raptor powertrain, which is quite special. But here you can see an 8-inch digital screen in the cluster, a 10-inch here. This can be upgraded to a 12-inch and also a 12.4-inch. So there's different screen sizes depending on your trim level. Of course, the Lariat gets all the nicest stuff, and it's the most expensive new Ranger. By the way, there's no more trimmer in the lineup. So if you really like the trimmer in the lineup, I think it's basically, at least for now, is replaced by the Raptor, because the Raptor is here in a big way. Plastic steering wheel, but I like that it has kind of these thumb holds. Lots of controls here for the menu. It has up to 75 pounds of towing, so they did not increase the towing number at all. It's the same. It's not class leading on paper, at least. The Colorado and the GMC Canyon have up to 7,700 pounds of towing. The Jeep Gladiator 4x4 has 7,650 pounds of towing. But just a couple hundred pounds, so they're very close. This one doesn't have a brake controller, but some do, and the brake controller would be on this side, on the right side near the upper area, which is a good place to be. There's just some storage here, cup holders. Some other models can have a wireless charger in here, but USB-C and USB-A ports are here. Electronic parking brake, real mechanical shifter. Also, a electronic shifter lever is available in Lariat and Raptor. Your 4-wheel drive switch is here. That works pretty well. 4-wheel drive auto is available on the Raptor. Drive modes, traction control. All of them have eco mode, which I like. By the way, speaking of economy, they have not released their EPA numbers yet. And before, the current Ranger has about 20 mpg city, 24 highway, and 22 combined. I still think those are kind of optimistic in the real world because I haven't seen 24 mpg in the Ranger we owned at TFL Studios. But because this truck is slightly larger, it's a little bit heavier by a few pounds, I think the economy will stay the same or be a little bit less. This is just my guess at this point. Official numbers are not out yet. There may be some magic eco mode that they have that they will introduce, but that's just my take on it. It has off-road status screen, vehicle gauges. So this is kind of cool, and kind of if you're used to Fords, you will be kind of right at home here. There's a large fuel gauge. By the way, the fuel tank is the same as before, about 18 gallons, and coolant temperature gauge. I wish there were a few more gauges. Maybe I'm not seeing all the modes and all the gauges. Here's some fuel economy. Of course, this truck has been sitting here for several days. This is kind of a pre-production truck. But overall, I kind of like this design. I like the vents, the dash. It's got simple speaker system. I think there's some extra lights, some communication lights here, mirror, sunglass holder. This one doesn't have a rear sliding window. If it did, it could be powered and the switch would be here. Oh, here's LED lights. That's cool. No more like yellow, dim, incandescent bulbs. No vanity, but this extends. It's quite nice. Okay. Manual seats. Let me slide back just a hair. Center console. Actually, quite comfortable seat. I think, in my opinion, this might be one of the best seats in the midsize segment as far as just how I sink into it. And I feel like it's actually almost like a couch at home. That's quite nice. Let me show you the rear seat. So first, let me kind of sit behind myself. This rear seat is really scalloped. So I'm almost 6'3", just 6'3" and 2 3/4. And I fit pretty nicely. There's rake on the rear seat. There's a cubby here, but no rear vents. I don't see any rear HVAC vents. There's a 12-volt outlet down below. And this is very basic. So, of course, as you upgrade this truck, you could also get USB-C. Down here, only one pocket. At least you get one pocket. Some trucks give you none. And handholds. And then they have a new way the rear seat kind of folds. So it does this. So this is not new. Little cubbies. I still think, I mean, this transmission hump is quite large, and this is not huge. I mean, you could put, gosh, I don't know, maybe a small sleeping bag in there. Not a ton of space. But then if you pop this, bam, you fold this down. The headrests don't really fold, but this becomes a almost flat surface here. And there's a little bit of space. Some of them have subwoofers here, but if you don't, like this one, you have a little bit of space behind the rear seat. So they're just trying to increase versatility of this new truck. Oh, and look at this. Even this model has a little cup holder, center armrest here. You know what? I think this is an improvement in material quality, kind of the look and feel over the current Ranger in a quite big way. I spoke about payload, and here's a sticker on this STX. 1,627 pounds for a 4x4 mid-sizer. This is really great. Of course, it is also the FX4 package with a front skid plate that you can put and add to this truck. Also, I wanted to point out, talking about payload, they moved the rear shock outside of the rear frame on both sides. So they redesigned the frame. It's still a leaf spring here on the basic truck, but they moved the shocks outward. They say, Ford says, in order to improve the ride quality. And also, it's good for off-roading because the shocks are tucked against the tires, so there is more space underneath for clearance. And also because they moved the front axle forward, stretching the wheelbase, like I said, just by about 2 inches. The front overhang is shorter and better clearance up there too. That was a lot of good news about the brand new Ford Ranger, and now a bit of bad. And this is because the new truck will start at $34,160, including destination charges, which happens to be about $3,000 more than the outgoing Ranger. So it's a quite hefty price increase in my opinion. And the brand new 2024 Ranger will go on sale in the summer of this year in 2023. So there's the first hands-on video with a basic brand new 2024 Ford Ranger. I think overall it's a big improvement over the current one, but now we have to put it in context with the other competitors. Well, yes, we know that in just, almost 2 weeks, the new Toyota Tacoma enters the market, or at least makes its debut later this year. We don't know anything about the next Tacoma, but this size, this Ranger, is about the same size, wheelbase, and bed as the current Tacoma. So it offers way more power, several turbocharged engines, including that 3-liter twin-turbo V6 in the Raptor with over 400 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque, which is a huge power level. So I think Ford is offering a lot more choice. I think really high-powered powertrains, and of course we still need to drive it to find out exactly what it's like in the real world. Still good capability, maybe not class-leading numbers on towing, but really great payload numbers when you compare it to the Colorado and the Tacoma and the Jeep Gladiator and some others. So I think it's a really strong entry. So we'll see. This mid-size truck war continues. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Check out alltfl.com, and I'll see you on the next video.